Hey guys, this is Binks and welcome back to Let's Play 999. In the last episode, we kind of separated and we were exploring, and June and Junpei had a very funny and crazy conversation near the elevators. Oh god, that killed me. And they actually found out that E deck, even though it's below D deck, which is submerged in water, E deck seems to be dry, and the elevator took them down there and they found the number 6 door. So now they're back up and hopefully they will meet up with Santa and Lotus and find out what's going on. Huh? So you guys found door 1. They'd met back up with Santa and Lotus, who had explained what they'd found. Apparently there was another numbered door on A deck, just like the one on E deck, beyond the door that the Earth key opened. According to Santa and Lotus, there was a 1 on the door. All told, they had discovered 2 new doors, the 6 and the 1. It is interesting that E deck wasn't flooded. Lotus was quiet for a moment, lost in thought. Well, we don't really know if all of E deck is safe. We only checked the area around the elevator. Even so, I still find it still very interesting. You said the 6th door was there, right? Yes. Then that means Zero planned all this out, even the sinking. That would have... excuse me. That would have meant some pretty serious remodeling of the ship's interior. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Yeah. I wonder how long it took. I can't even imagine how much it must have cost. It would have been a ton, that's for sure. Well, that does go along with what Ace was saying. The most reasonable explanation would be that this was done by some organization with access to a whole lot of cash. Yes, it does make sense. That thought made them all go quiet for a moment. June bit her lip while Lotus sighed softly to herself and Santa cracked a stiff neck and stared off into the distance at nothing. I don't think it's a very good idea to stay here. June looked up at Junpei with large, pleading eyes. Yeah, you're right. Ace and his team might be back already. Well, June, Junpei, and I should be able to open door 1. Huh? You guys leaving me behind? Oh, come on. Just kidding. No, she's not. All right, let's go. Lotus's words were all the impetus they needed. Back to the large hospital room they went. Please tell me you guys found Snake. The moment they stepped inside, a tremendous voice echoed across the room. Hey! Where the hell did you guys go? It was 7. Ace was right behind him and Clover was behind Ace, although she seemed to be hanging back. Oh no. It looked as though there was something strange about them. 7 had the look of a man who'd seen a ghost. Ace was just as pale, and Clover looked as though she was only moments from passing out entirely. For a long moment they simply stood there, looking at one another. Junpei looked around nervously, waiting for someone else to speak. No one did. He looked at 7. What happened? What the hell kind of a question is that? 7 was trying very hard to be angry, but something had shaken him. Hard. His shoulders were trembling and his voice was strained. Snake was... Oh no. Snake is... 7 couldn't finish. Oh no. That is... Wow. Sorry, got distracted. Okay, 7 couldn't finish. He just looked away, his face twisted by... Junpei wasn't sure what. Instead, Ace spoke. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and spoke. Snake is... dead. He died, just as the 9th man did. Oh no. It was as if all the air had suddenly been sucked out of the room. Junpei felt his heartbeat quicken, and he realized he was having trouble breathing. He could feel cold sweat beading on his forehead and neck. June, Santa, and Lotus looked the way he felt. All three were frozen in place, their faces white. Oh my god! That's not true, is it? We should make sure. Yeah, right, we should. They nodded to one another and headed for the number 3 door. Wait! Not that way! They stopped short and turned to look at 7. He was pointing at the door with no number. Stuck a screwdriver in there to keep the door from closing all the way. It's not locked, so you can go in that way. Where is he? The shower room, on the left side of the hallway. I put a broom in there too, to keep the door open. We can get in without going through the numbered door, right? Yeah, that's right. Their new destination clear, Junpei and his companions headed for the door with no number. I don't want to go look. I don't want to see my baby dad. How old am I again? But seriously, no. Once in the hallway, it was easy to spot the metal door on the left wall. It hadn't been open when they'd been through before, but now, just as 7 had said, there was a broom stuck between the door and the frame, keeping it open. Ay, Dios mío. Hang in there, guys. I'm gonna have to put a warning for this episode. It's been a while since we've had to do that. They looked at it for a moment, then stepped inside. Ugh, it smells horrible. Lotus wrinkled her nose and covered her mouth in disgust. Ugh, I really could have done without this man. Even Santa pinched his nose shut. Yeah, this is pretty awful. I feel like I'm gonna puke. It was just as bad as they said, perhaps worse. A hideous smell filled the air, so thick they could almost taste it. I hope you guys are not eating while you're watching this. It was sour and smelled of fish, feces, and burnt meat. It worked its way through Junpei's nose and down through his throat to pound against the entrance to his stomach. He put his hands over his mouth and struggled to keep what little was in his stomach where it belonged. Oh god. No! You know what? I don't know why, but Virtue's Last Reward and Zero Time Dilemma, even though it had its moments, they don't gross me out like this one does. It's just so verbally descriptive, you know? They didn't have to wonder where the body was. There was blood everywhere, a few arms of the splatter reaching toward them as they walked in through the door. All one had to do was follow the many radial arms to their source. The body itself was hidden behind a divider. Please don't show me. June, you should stay here. But... Please, just do me a favor, okay? Alright? He didn't give her a chance to say no. He put his hand on her shoulder as if to shove her into the ground like a tent pole, turned, and walked toward the end of the divider. No, I don't want to look at it! It felt like it took an eternity for him to get there. Santa and Lotus followed, timid and nervous as a pair of children. Eventually they reached the divider. They looked at one another and nodded slowly. Junpei put his hands on the divider and peered around the corner. For a moment he forgot to breathe. Don't show me. He felt his heart collapse in his chest like an empty cigarette carton, and time froze. He knew in that instant that he would take the image before him to the grave. Oh god. That's gross enough. What was left of the body sat in a sea of blood. Chunks of flesh, torn from the body, sat in the blood like tiny islands in a great red sea. A vast ragged hole had been torn in the torso, and what remained of his intestines spilled out of it like fresh spaghetti. Always has to be compared to meat, doesn't it? Smaller chunks of meat had splattered against the wall and become stuck there as they dried. Globules of yellowish fat had left trails like tiny slugs as gravity pulled them down the wall even as they dried to it. Just like Ace said. Santa's voice was strained. Junpei suspected he was holding down some vomit of his own. Just like the ninth man. The detonator in his bracelet set off the bomb in his gut. It looked as though the explosion had been quite powerful. Why did they have to do this to my bae? His legs were both bent in an odd, unnatural way, and his left arm had split open, exposing the painful white bone of his ulna. His bracelet lay next to him. It seemed to have hit the wall hard enough to have shattered the display, which lay on the ground in pieces. Half of his head had simply collapsed. The blood coating almost made it look like raw pizza dough covered in tomato sauce. His clothes, too, were covered in blood. The burgundy tie, the white shirt, the jacket with the yellow piping, and the gray slacks, they were all familiar to Junpei. No mistake about that. It's Snake. Lotus's voice was unnaturally deep and strained, and Junpei heard it catch in her throat. God. This game. The squeal of tortured metal made Junpei's teeth curl. It sounded like the noise a ghost would make. No matter how many times he heard it, he never got used to it. Every time it put him on edge. It didn't help that there was a girl nearby who looked far more like a ghost than a living human should. It was Clover. She sat on the edge of the bed, her head drooping listlessly onto her chest. Her eyes were blank and stared across the room at nothing. Her breathing was slow and mechanical. I'm so sorry, Clover. Aside from the rise and fall of her chest, she didn't move. Junpei felt as if even a nudge might cause her to shatter into 1,000 pieces. Snake was probably... Oh, sorry. My heart. I'm just like... It's too much. Snake was probably murdered. Chances are he was killed the same way the ninth man was. Seven lowered his voice, likely in an effort to keep Clover from hearing what he had to say. There was 4 other people in the room with Junpei and Seven. Ace, Santa, June, and Lotus. Seven looked at each one of them in turn and continued. It's pretty straightforward. Not that hard to figure out how they did it. Oh, God. Look at that. That's awful. First, the killers got Snake to authenticate on the red to open door 3. Then they shoved him into it alone. Oh, my poor bae. And waited 9 seconds for the door to shut. Once that door shut, it was over for Snake, but he didn't give up. He probably knew it wouldn't do him any good, but he probably ran into the shower room looking for the dead. It was a small chance, but it wasn't like he had anything to lose. Oh, God. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The detonators only deactivated if everybody who authenticated when they went in uses the dead. And then 81 seconds after he was shoved in, that happened. I see. So that's what you meant by killers, huh? You need at least 3 people to open one of the numbered doors, including Snake. It wouldn't open for Snake and a single killer. Exactly. That means we're looking at multiple perps here. Junpei crossed his arms and grunted. Well, just in case, I want to make sure. Let's say you're right. When do you think Snake was killed? When we all split up to look for the pots for the Reds, I think. Right after that was when we noticed he was gone. Then that means none of us have alibis. We were all off searching the rooms we'd been assigned, looking for those parts. Yeah, that means anybody could be a killer. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? Oh my God. Really, dog? Really? You done? June seemed shocked. How can you say one of us is a killer so casually?
Well, not just one of us. If I'm right, then at least two of us are murderers. Why don't you calm down a bit, Seven? What are you going to gain by being so suspicious? That's what Zero wants, you know. What Zero wants? Exactly. This game was set up by Zero, wasn't it? Any game has a winner and loser. Whoever makes it through door 9 is a winner, and those who don't are the losers. Zero is trying to make us fight against one another for that victory.
Then you're saying that Zero is trying to split us up by making us fight each other?
Yes. That is why we can't let ourselves fall prey to suspicion. We have to trust one another and form a strong bond of friendship. Otherwise, we'll end up ensnared by Zero's manipulations.
He has a point.
Then, does that mean that the person who killed Snake? Yes, almost certainly Zero himself. If there's anyone we should doubt, it should be Zero. He masterminded this game and kidnapped all of us. Doesn't it seem reasonable that he would have killed Snake as well?
It's strange though, I don't know. Junpei hadn't really considered that. If Zero had killed Snake, then Zero was on the ship with them. Was Zero still on the ship with them? Yeah, of course he was. That was obvious. Zero was somewhere on the ship, but Junpei had no idea where. Junpei mumbled to himself, lost in thought. Where could Zero be hiding? Suddenly, everyone went very quiet. The silence was cold and clammy, and Junpei could feel it crawling across his back and around his throat. Again, he heard the ghosting moaning noise. Oh, and moments later, a person who looked more ghost than human appeared. It was Clover. She looked at the floor as she spoke, and her voice was a cold monotone. I think Zero is one of us. Every human body in the room froze. The only sound was the muffled rustling of breath. Eyes darted from face to face. One of those faces was the face of their jailer. Oh boy. But who? That's a very good question. Junpei said, I'm sorry, but to say that's crazy is so rude. I would never say that. So unfortunately, I think that's possible. Well, that's possible. Huh? Like Clover said, Zero might be one of us. What are you saying, Jumpy? Didn't you hear what Ace said? Exactly. I said we shouldn't suspect one another for no reason. No reason? I've got a great reason. And what's that? The bracelets. He held out his left arm. Why are the bombs in our bodies connected to the bracelets? You're all thinking Zero's hiding somewhere watching us, right? If he's doing that, then he could just detonate the bombs by remote control if someone did something they weren't supposed to. It would be a lot more precise and a lot easier. But if that's the case, then why is the bomb set off by the detonator in the bracelet? Huh, you got a point. I'm not done. Try applying the same ideas to the nonary game. All of the puzzles here run all by themselves. In other words, Zero doesn't have to be controlling them for the game to move forward. Why is that? Why would Zero bother to do something like that? Junpei let the question hang in the air and looked at the others. It was Santa who answered. So let's say you and Clover are right. Zero's one of us. If that's the case, then it'd be really hard for him to keep track of all of us or control anything remotely. That's why all the puzzles run by themselves. That's what you're getting at, right? Yeah. Junpei nodded. 7. When we were talking earlier, you said any one of us could be Snake's killer, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Alright then, I've got a question for you, Ace. You said something like, Zero must be the one who killed Snake, right?
Yes, something like that. I can't think of any other explanation.
So what do we get if we combine those? They fit together pretty well, I think. Something like this. Whoever killed Snake, oh, like a formula, equals 0. 0 equals one of us. 7 and Ace's theories aren't mutually exclusive, they actually complement each other pretty well. At least they do if 0 is one of us. No one spoke. Their faces were grim, but Junpei wasn't sure if they believed him or not. Finally, Lotus spoke up. What were his motives?
His motives?
Yes. Isn't that pretty important? Why would Zero want to hide as one of us?
Oh, well, that's because,
Junpei choked. He doesn't know. He hadn't thought of that, and he had to be honest with himself. He had no idea. Yeah.
I don't know.
Lotus sighed. Well, so much for making a persuasive argument, Junpei.
In other words, you had only circumstantial evidence. I don't really think that's enough to go on, you know?
Junpei was painfully aware of their eyes on him and their disapproval. He tried to find something else, anything else to look at, just when he felt he could bear it no longer. Yeah, we're wasting time as usual, so please, can we just get a move on? They heard a bell begin to ring. You know what? I'm gonna leave this episode right here. That's fine. Poor Snake. This was rough, man. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hang in there. This storyline is just gonna get crazier from here on out. Hope you're enjoying this, and until next time, have a nice day. Bye!